Part 30. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 291. Chen Mu found that he was moving, and the speed of the movement was very fast, and the arc of the movement was in an arc. It seemed to be rotating around something. In fact, all the stars in the Milky Way are in motion. Including the solar system, the sun in the solar system has been moving at a very fast speed. Just like satellites revolve around the Earth revolves around the sun, and the sun revolves around the galactic center black hole in the middle of the Milky Way. There are gravitational waves between celestial bodies. The larger the mass of the celestial body, the greater the intensity of the gravitational wave. If a celestial body does not rotate, its gravitational waves are similar to a stone thrown into a calm lake, and the ripples spread by the stone are similar to gravitational waves. As long as other small mass celestial bodies are within the range of the gravitational wave, they will be pulled into the center of the ripple by the gravitational wave. And the celestial body is rotating, and when it rotates, these ripples will rotate in the shape of a vortex. Therefore, if a massive celestial body is thrown into the Milky Way, even if it does not move at first, once it enters the Milky Way, it will follow the gravitational waves generated by the Milky Way's black hole and begin to rotate around the Milky Way's black hole. The range of the Milky Way's black hole's gravitational waves covers the entire Milky Way. After Chen Mu evolved into a blue giant, he did not actively move, but he was still in motion. In the entire Milky Way, all the stars are rotating in a vortex, rushing madly into the Milky Way's black hole and being swallowed by the Milky Way's black hole. If given enough time, everything in the Milky Way will be swallowed and absorbed by the Milky Way's black hole. Of course, that time will be very, very long. Chen Mu had learned this knowledge in the knowledge base a long time ago. He was naturally clear about the fact that he was moving, but after seeing this scene, he still found it very interesting. Forget it. Chen Mu was too lazy to think about it, so he retracted his gaze. Things here are done. Next, let's take a look at the new abilities I've acquired recently. The ability to control time. This reminds Chen Mu of the four-dimensional space he had seen before. Try it. Chen Mu used his ability. As the ability was used, everything in front of him disappeared. Chen Mu's body also disappeared. What appeared in front of Chen Mu was the picture he had seen before. He saw frame after frame of time fragments, from the past to the future. Is this the ability to control time? Chen Mu muttered. He did not use this ability, but just looked at the time fragments in front of him. In the fragments of the past, there were things that Chen Mu had experienced, and in the fragments of the future, there was also Chen Mu's presence, but in these fragments of the future, Chen Mu did nothing. It was just staying in place as a blue giant star, and everything around it was slowly changing. After seeing this, Chen Mu's heart moved. My consciousness came to this time dimension, and the blue giant star as a carrier stayed in the original dimension, so when the time dimension was going on, it was equivalent to me not participating in the change of time. Chen Mu understood. In this way, he was like a spectator outside the world. Time will indeed continue, but if Chen Mu does not participate, then only Chen Mu's carrier will exist in the future. Chen Mu can use this ability to go to the future or go back to the past. But Chen Mu does not intend to do so. If he does not experience his own life, then living is like not living, and he does not want to play with this thing. However, Chen Mu is sure that this ability has some bugs. Chen Mu retreated from the time dimension and returned to the blue giant. He separated a body from his body. The body turned into the appearance of an angel, and he raised his hand, and there was a metal ball in his hand, which was the warp ball. It's time to go to the Milky Way black hole again, but I don't know how many times the Milky Way black hole can make me evolve. Chen Mu was very interested in knowing this. So, he took action. The door of time and space was opened. Chen Mu looked at the door of time and space in front of him, flapped his wings behind him, and stepped out. Although he used the control ability, Shenmue still stepped out habitually. Passed through the door of time and space. He came to the vicinity of the black hole at the center of the galaxy again, and there was still the sea of fire under his feet. He looked at the black hole at the center of the galaxy. Although Shenmue had swallowed it twice, the black hole at the center of the galaxy was still the same as before, without any change. Obviously, the energy that Shenmue currently obtained from the black hole at the center of the galaxy was too little to make any changes in the appearance of the black hole at the center of the galaxy. I don't need to care about its appearance at all, just swallow it directly. Shenmue thought, using his control ability to control his body, and flew towards the direction of the black hole at the center of the galaxy. Please stop, accompanied by the voice. Shenmue stopped his action and saw a figure blocking him. This was a girl with gray-blue skin. The girl's pupils were blue, the skin on her face was white, and her lips were blue. She was wearing a black and blue windbreaker, barefoot, standing in the void, looking at Shenmue. She appeared out of thin air, just like the person named Ming that Shenmue met before. The reason why they can appear out of thin air, as Shenmue, who has seen the information database of Ming, naturally knows. Wormhole. The way of movement used by the Borstar civilization is not to use the warp engine that Shenmue is familiar with, but to use wormholes. There are all kinds of wormholes that are invisible to the naked eye throughout the universe. And the existence of the Borstar civilization can travel through space through these wormholes. The function is similar to the warp engine, or it can be regarded as a natural space-time gate. However, the wormhole is extremely small, and even if the technology of ordinary civilizations can discover the existence of wormholes, they cannot use them. Only some advanced civilizations can use this thing. This girl who suddenly appeared is probably from Borstar again. It seems that the guys from Borstar have not given up on stopping Shenmue from swallowing the Milky Way black hole. Shenmue said, "Is there something?" The girl bowed slightly to Shenmue, saluted, then raised her face, looked at Shenmue with her eyes without emotion, and said, "I am from the Borstar civilization, my name is Lan, I want to protect Borstar, so please don't swallow the black hole, okay?" Shenmue crossed his arms and looked at Lan. "You should know my answer." When Lan heard this, there was a hint of helplessness in her eyes. She said nothing, but slowly stepped aside and made way for Shenmue. Her actions made Shenmue look at her more. Give up? So, she came here and asked him just to try her luck. Shenmue retracted his gaze, he was too lazy to care about her, and flew directly into the Milky Way black hole. The singularity was right in front of Shenmue. Shenmue raised his hand and held the singularity. Swallow. Outside the Milky Way black hole. The girl named Lan looked at the scene inside the Milky Way black hole. The Bohr civilization has fought with Shenmue. The battle between advanced civilizations is not about chance, but about technology. Obviously, the technology Shenmue has is beyond their reach. But they want to protect their homeland, so they can only make a final struggle. And that question is the final struggle. We are acquiring evolutionary energy, and the current progress of evolutionary energy is 1%. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 292. Acquiring evolutionary energy, the current progress of evolutionary energy is 2%. Acquiring evolutionary energy, the current progress of evolutionary energy is 10%. Acquiring evolutionary energy, the current progress of evolutionary energy is 20%. With one voice after another, an extremely familiar voice sounded in his ears. Finally, he heard that familiar voice again. The current progress of evolutionary energy is 100%, start evolving. Leave the original body, Shenmue told the system. The system responded, received the request, continue evolving. This voice. Shenmue's consciousness disappeared. I don't know how long it has been, how long it has been. Chenmu's consciousness came back. It should be evolved successfully. Chenmu opened his consciousness and looked at his body. The picture he saw was a little unbelievable. This is an extremely huge accretion disk surrounded Chenmu. This accretion disk was like a sea of fire, with a vortex shape, surrounding Chenmu. This sea of fire emitted an amazing light. And Chenmu himself was pitch black, and he couldn't see anything. Empty. This is black hole. I turned into a black hole. Although it was a little unbelievable, the fact was right in front of Chenmu. What Chenmu saw within the scope of his consciousness was a black hole. This black hole has a mass 300 times that of the Sun, which is an extremely huge and amazing mass. This black hole is located in the void, and surrounding Chenmu is the accretion disk caused by the surrounding matter being attracted by the gravitational waves of the black hole. The black hole has too much gravity, causing these substances to form nuclear fusion under terrifying pressure and temperature. It becomes an accretion disk that emits strong light. You have become a black hole, and the system has been upgraded to a black hole level system. Congratulations on your successful evolution, and you have obtained evolutionary rewards. All your abilities have evolved to the black hole level. Congratulations on your successful evolution and the ability to control space. Listening to the familiar voice from the system, Chenmu was thinking. What system upgrades, ability evolutions, these Chenmu has heard many times, so he doesn't care much. But the ability behind it made Chenmu a little concerned. Chenmu said, the ability to control space. This ability sounds like it is similar to controlling time. Chenmu said, system, call out the information of this ability, I want to see it. The use of some abilities cannot be explained in a few words by the system. Just like atomic creation, before the atomic creation ability was upgraded, only the creatures created by Chenmu could share the energy after obtaining it. After the upgrade, even if Chenmu shared the atomic creation ability and let others help him create creatures, he could also share the energy obtained by those creatures. Moreover, the system does not know the details of the use of other aspects of various abilities. These need Chenmu to explore and understand them by himself, or directly find the system knowledge base, so as to know other ways to use the ability. So, this time Chenmu simply came to take a look. What is space? The entire universe is a huge space, and there are countless small spaces in the universe. You can think of space as the smallest substance you can imagine, such as atoms. Space as big as an atom is also space. And this extremely small space can also form a larger space. The world we live in is composed of countless extremely small spaces. And space is another dimension that we cannot perceive. Chenmu uses the ability to control space. Once this ability is used, everything Chenmu sees in front of him has changed. The whole world is divided into countless extremely small three-dimensional grids, and these three-dimensional grids are connected one by one. One face of these three-dimensional grids is connected to another face, forming a huge net. Chenmu also saw an interesting scene. In some places where there is nothing, these nets are normal. But when Chenmu saw himself, he found that the space here was completely abnormal. With the crazy rotation of the singularity that is invisible to the naked eye, the net near the singularity is twisted into a vortex. And the matter on the twisted net is approaching the black hole along the net. Chenmu saw something novel. Pause. Chenmu used the ability to control time. In an instant, the scene in front of him paused. The black hole that is Chenmu's body no longer rotates. Now, Chenmu could see a scene that surprised him. One side of these squares formed a huge net. The black hole was pressing on the big net. These nets did not exist on a plane, but at various angles. All the nets at these angles, without exception, were pressed down by the black hole. The matter in the accretion disk moved along these nets toward the black hole. Is this the essence of gravitational waves? Chen Mu was a little dazed. The mass of the celestial body was too large, which distorted the space, and the space dragged these substances into the black hole. The essence of gravitational waves is space? Time resumed. The black hole continued to rotate madly. Chen Mu expanded his consciousness. Chen Mu was surprised to find that his conscious field of vision had expanded after being upgraded. The picture he could see at this moment had reached an incredible level. He can see everything within a radius of 50 light years. Wait a moment. My ability will evolve, so my speed ability should evolve. So, Chen Mu said, "System, how fast can my current speed be?" The system gave the answer, "You currently have black hole level speed capabilities, with a speed of 1 light year per second." Chen Mu was a little depressed. "You didn't tell me earlier. If I had known that my speed could be improved, why would I have to divide my body and devour it every day?" The system went silent. Chen Mu didn't bother to say anything to this mechanical system. Go directly to the black hole at the center of the galaxy. Chen Mu is ready to start the second evolution again. Thinking about it, Chen Mu's body moved. Chen Mu was like a glowing boomerang, whizzing towards the black hole in the center of the galaxy. This speed can be said to be very, very terrifying. Wait a minute, can't I control space? Since I can control space, why not? Just do it. Chen Mu controlled space and connected the space on the other side of the black hole in the center of the galaxy with his own space. An extremely huge gate of time and space appeared in front of me. Chen Mu controlled his huge body and got into the gate of time and space. A moment. A small black hole surrounded by an accretion disk appears above the accretion disk of the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 293. At the same time when Chen Mu came to the location of the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. In Pangu Star, where the blue giant star is located. It has been 30,000 years since Chen Mu left Pangu Star. However, Chen Mu did not know this. Pangu Star is the original Earth, but the current Earth is completely different from the previous Earth, so it was renamed Pangu Star. In Pangu Star. At night. "Mom, I want to listen to a story." A little child came over and looked at the mother beside him. The woman looked at the milky child in front of her. She showed a doting smile, raised her hand, touched the child's shoulder, and said, "Okay. Do you know? We are currently staying on the surface of a planet called Pangu Star. In addition to this planet, there are 6 planets in the planetary system." The child looked at the mother curiously. 6? What are the other 6 called? The child was very curious. The mother smiled and said, "The 7 planets all revolve around the blue giant star. The closest one is called Tai Star. The main gods there are Yinglong and Polaris. They created humans like us and some very strange lives in Tai Star, such as phoenixes, unicorns, dragons, etc. The second planet is called Blue Star. The main god is Qinglong. 91% of it is ocean, and there are humans with dragon horns inside." The child's eyes lit up. "Uncle Lin Chu. I remember Uncle Lin Chu also has dragon horns." The mother smiled. "Yes, Uncle Lin Chu is also a blue star person." With the development of technology, the lives on the 7 planets can communicate and exchange in various ways. The power of technology can shorten the distance between each other, and with the supervision of the main gods, the 7 planets can spend these years in peace. It is a very happy thing to be born in this era. Yet. The child didn't quite understand, but after hearing what his mother said, he still responded obediently. With the advancement of technology, the residents of the 7 planets are no longer limited to staying in their own planetary systems. One spaceship after another flies out of the planetary system and goes to other cosmic spaces for exploration and adventure. The era of real space travel has begun here. On the other side of Pangustar, it is daytime here. In an exquisite building. The girl with dragon horns is standing in front of the balcony, looking at the blue giant in the distance. Over the past 20,000 years, many things have happened, the killer whale murmured to himself. Managing a planet with life is not as simple as imagined. Life has uncertainty, and this uncertainty is a kind of evolution, and this evolution has both good and bad, the killer whale said. Some genes are kind and creative, while others are evil and destructive. It is difficult to manage. However, I finally completed the task you gave me. They have now started space travel and started exploring the unknown universe. It's just that I really want to see you and tell you what happened around me. The killer whale looked at the blue giant. Although the killer whale stayed in this planet, there were many lives on the planet, but these lives were like a flash in the pan, and they were not the same kind of people as her. The killer whale still missed that person very much, and she wanted to talk to him. Of course, Shenmue didn't know all this. At this moment, after Shenmue evolved into a black hole, he was staying on the sea of fire of the Milky Way black hole. When Shenmue was about to control his body to go to the Milky Way black hole, he discovered something. The Milky Way black hole may be bigger than him. You know, Shenmue is also a black hole now, and it is a black hole with a much smaller mass than the Milky Way black hole. The essence of a black hole is an infinitely small singularity plus an event horizon, and the singularity is where the matter of the black hole is. And the singularity is a point with infinite gravity and infinitely small volume. As a black hole, Shenmue's volume at this moment is naturally infinitely small. So, it seems unlikely to use a singularity to devour a singularity. If I had known earlier, I would have turned into an angel and come directly. Shenmue was a little depressed. Forget it. Shenmue didn't think much about it. He used his control ability and applied it to the black hole. After several upgrades, Shenmue's control ability is no longer limited to volume. As long as the mass of the substance is not as large as Shenmue's control ability can also be used. Shenmue used his control ability on himself. Shenmue's body is a black hole. Although the volume of a black hole is infinitely small, the substance it contains is extremely huge. Using the control ability, a little bit of the substance can be separated. Shenmue molded the substance into an angel-shaped body. His consciousness entered the new body, and he looked at the black hole at the center of the Milky Way and flew directly over. Everything Shenmue did was done under the eyes of a civilization. And that civilization was the Bohr civilization that Shenmue had met twice before. 1 minute ago. The girl named Lan with dark blue hair, blue eyes, and gray-blue skin was flying at a low altitude. Her feet did not touch the ground, and there was a round table in front of her. On the round table, a three-dimensional picture of the Milky Way was displayed. Lan Su raised her hand and waved it, and the picture became larger. The black hole at the center of the Milky Way appeared in the picture. After 3 swallowings by the unknown being, the Milky Way black hole lost more than 6 million Ball star masses. A Ball starman next to him said, he absorbed 3 times, and each time the energy absorbed was hundreds of times more than the previous time. If he comes again, the mass he swallows will be even more terrifying. As the mass of the Milky Way black hole decreases, the Milky Way black hole will gradually lose its binding force, the Milky Way system that has stabilized will collapse, and our home will probably be destroyed. We must stop him, someone said. The question is, how to stop it? Suddenly, someone said, look, what is that? After hearing this, everyone in the conference hall looked at the Milky Way black hole. I saw a small black hole suddenly appear out of thin air next to the Milky Way black hole. This small black hole appeared very abruptly, and it just appeared out of thin air above the accretion disk of the Milky Way black hole. Is this a black hole? How did this black hole come out? All the ball people on the field were shocked. They looked at this incomprehensible scene in disbelief. This looks like a small black hole. It appeared out of thin air and is so close to the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, but it was not swallowed by the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. Could it be that it used a wormhole like us? This is impossible. It's a black hole. Generally, space will be crushed by its terrifying mass. Besides, we use wormholes to decompose and reassemble our bodies. How can a black hole decompose and reassemble? When all the Bohr people were puzzled. Look, there is mass separation inside this black hole. What? The mass of the black hole is separating. Under everyone's incredible gaze, they saw through the instrument that the singularity inside the small black hole was separating mass. This is far beyond their imagination. Black holes have extremely terrifying gravity. Even if there is a supermassive black hole next to a small black hole, the small black hole cannot be torn apart. No black hole will separate matter because their own gravity is infinite. But this impossible thing is happening. A little bit of matter is slowly separated from the small black hole. Under the gaze of all the ball people on the field, this material was constructed into an angelic form. This form is him. Someone exclaimed. The girl named Lan looked at this scene, her eyes trembling slightly, and her mouth slightly opened. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 294. What does he want to do? When this question came out in the meeting room, all the people of Balstar became nervous. Because there was no need to answer, all the people of Balstar knew the answer. That is, he wanted to swallow the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. The amount Chen swallowed each time was more than the last time. This time, the amount he needed to swallow was estimated to be very, very much. If this continues, someone must stop him. The answer is very clear: who can stop him? All the people of Balstar knew that they could not stop him with their technology. They could only watch silently. At this time, Chen had already entered the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. After entering the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, he once again came to the singularity, stretched out his hand, and held the singularity at the center of the Milky Way. Consciousness disappeared. After the disappearance of consciousness, Chen could not feel the passage of time at all. But those people of Balstar could indeed easily observe the scene through instruments. They could see. Golden light came out of the singularity, and all of this light was immersed in Chen body. It looked like a series of suspended golden rivers sank into Chen body. Chen body also glowed with golden light. This situation continued like this. Lan raised her hand and operated the instrument in front of her. A screen appeared, through which some data could be seen, and these data were changing wildly. Seeing these data changes, Ian's face changed. How could this happen? The other ball people were also stunned when they saw these data changes. Why did the mass of the Milky Way's black hole disappear so quickly? It was swallowed up. The mass of the Milky Way's black hole would also decrease in the previous times, but this time the decrease was too fast. The data showed the change in the mass of the Milky Way's black hole. And this time the mass of the Milky Way's black hole decreased too quickly, to an incredible degree. It's no wonder that the ball people were so shocked by this consumption speed. Lan looked at the screen displayed by the instrument and at Chen in the screen. In addition to shock, there was also a hint of curiosity in her eyes. Time passed little by little. The mass of the Milky Way's black hole was getting less and less every day. I don't know how much time has passed. The mass of the black hole at the center of the Milky Way has been reduced by half. The entire spiral-shaped Milky Way has weakened gravitational waves due to the mass loss of the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. Celestial bodies resist the gravitational waves of the black hole at the center of the Milky Way by revolving madly, so as not to be swallowed. When the gravitational waves of the black hole at the center of the Milky Way weaken, and these revolving celestial bodies still maintain the same speed of revolving, naturally, this speed will cause the celestial bodies to escape. After seeing this scene, the people of Balstar knew that their homes were definitely not safe, and they started the immigration action one by one and fled directly from Balstar. Ian's figure appeared in the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. She appeared beside Chenmu and looked at Chenmu's appearance from a close distance. Chenmu's face emitting golden light was reflected in her eyes. "What kind of existence are you?" She was full of curiosity about him. She subconsciously reached out and reached towards Chenmu's face. Then, her hand went straight through Chenmu's face. She raised her hand and looked at it. She retracted her gaze and looked at Chenmu's hand holding on the singularity. This is a technology she cannot understand. Lan at this moment is not a consciousness, but a real body. But she uses space technology, which has countless spaces in the world we know. The reason why she is not affected by the black hole now is that she is not in this space. So she can't touch the black hole, nor can she touch Chenmu. But Chenmu can resist the gravitational waves of the black hole while touching the black hole. This kind of high technology is not available to the Bal people, and they cannot understand it. Chenmu is still devouring the Milky Way black hole, and the mass of the Milky Way black hole is continuing to be lost. It lasted for a very long time. The Milky Way black hole disappeared completely. And Chenmu's gradually awakening consciousness heard a sentence. It is acquiring evolutionary energy, and the current evolutionary energy progress is 1%. Chenmu opened his eyes. As soon as he opened his eyes, Chenmu found himself in the void, and he was emitting golden light all over his body. That was the energy material that had not yet been fully combined with Chenmu. Chenmu looked around. Where is the Milky Way black hole? You have already absorbed it, a voice sounded. Hearing this voice, Chenmu looked at the person who spoke. A girl with gray-blue skin and blue hair was floating in space, looking at Chenmu. This person was Lan, the Boar star that Chenmu had met before. Chenmu glanced at her and fell into thought. Has it been swallowed up? He opened his consciousness and looked around. He could see his body, that is, the black hole. The Milky Way black hole that was originally nearby was no longer there. Chenmu frowned. After swallowing the entire Milky Way black hole, he only got 1% of the progress of evolutionary energy. Countless question marks popped up in Chenmu's mind. Is the evolution of a black hole so difficult? Chenmu was a little depressed. He looked back at Lan beside him and said, "The Milky Way black hole is gone, so what are you doing here?" When Lan heard this, she looked at Chenmu and said, "I'm very curious about you." "Oh, curious?" Chenmu said, "I have no interest in you at all, stay away from me." After saying that, he retracted his gaze, moved his body, and returned to his body. When Chenmu returned to his body, the mass of Chenmu's body grew wildly. When the Milky Way's galactic black hole disappears, all the celestial bodies surrounding the galactic black hole will begin to escape. Those celestial bodies are like stones tied to a stick with a rope. The stone is tied by the rope and circles around the stick. When the stick disappears, the stone will fly everywhere without restraint. And this is the Milky Way at this moment. The Milky Way black hole was swallowed by Chenmu, and the entire Milky Way fell into chaos, with all the celestial bodies flying everywhere. However, because they are too huge, if you look at them from a suitable point, these celestial bodies are slowly dispersing. If they want to completely collapse and disperse, it is estimated that it will take hundreds of thousands or millions of years to completely disperse. However, it is at this moment. A supermassive celestial body with a terrifying mass like the Milky Way's black hole appears directly at the original location of the Milky Way's black hole. The gravitational waves it generates instantly capture all the celestial bodies in the Milky Way. Those escaping celestial bodies were once again bound by gravitational waves at this moment. The entire Milky Way was once again bound together by the gravitational waves generated by this sudden supermassive black hole. And the supermassive black hole that suddenly appeared was Chen Mu, who had just taken back the mass he had swallowed. Chen Mu found that his conscious vision had increased again. He could see the entire Milky Way. At the same time, he was surprised to find that I became the Milky Way center black hole. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 295. Chen Mu took the place of the galactic center black hole and became the new galactic center black hole. At this moment, the celestial bodies in the entire galaxy were bound by the gravitational waves emitted by Chen Mu and became a part of Chen Mu. Chen Mu discovered this phenomenon when he looked at himself through the vision of consciousness that could cover the entire galaxy. But this phenomenon puzzled Chen Mu. He also fell into thinking, it stands to reason that the gravitational waves generated by black holes propagate at the speed of light. How come they bind these celestial bodies in an instant? In fact, the gravitational waves we know are like the ripples caused by a stone falling into a lake. It takes time for the ripples to spread out. It also takes time for the same gravitational waves to spread out. According to the research of some scientists, the propagation speed of gravitational waves is the speed of light. But on Chen Mu's side, such a strange scene happened. When Chen Mu sent the energy and matter obtained from the galactic center black hole into his body directly grew into a new galactic center black hole, and the gravitational waves it spread were completed in an instant. The reason is, Chen Mu forgot one thing. When he evolved into a planet before, to be precise, he didn't evolve into a planet, but evolved into a planetary system. At that time, it became the Earth and the Moon, forming a planetary system. After becoming a star, it became a star system, and the entire system included the stars, the Earth, and the Earth satellites. After turning into a black hole, it is not actually a black hole, but a black hole system. The event horizon, gravitational waves, and everything within the gravitational waves owned by the black hole belong to itself. When Chen Mu obtained the mass of the entire galactic center black hole, his gravitational waves naturally grow as his mass increases. This kind of growth is not diffusion, but instantaneous growth. Therefore, it is possible to bind the celestial bodies of the entire galaxy. Chen Mu realized this. After thinking about it, Chen Mu felt relieved. I have to think about how to evolve next. Swallowing a galactic center black hole will only give me 1% of the evolutionary energy progress. In other words, I have to swallow another 100 such massive black holes before I can proceed. An evolution. Chen Mu is quite looking forward to what the next evolution will be. What will you evolve into after the black hole? Next, how can I continue to gain quality and energy? Chen Mu looked at the bright stars surrounding him, his eyes shining slightly. By the way, aren't these things around me all food? Chen Mu is now located in the center of the Milky Way. The gravitational waves he generates bind the celestial bodies in the Milky Way. These celestial bodies do not currently belong to him. In other words, he can devour these celestial bodies to obtain matter and energy. At present, Chen Mu's own mass is 4.3 million times the mass of the Sun, while the mass of the entire galaxy is 1 trillion times the mass of the Sun. In other words, as long as he swallows all the celestial bodies in the entire galaxy, he will definitely be able to proceed to the next step of evolution. The question is, how to devour them next? In fact, the gravitational waves currently emitted by Chen Mu are binding nearby celestial bodies and are also pulling these celestial bodies towards Chen Mu. Even if Chen Mu does nothing now and only gives Chen Mu enough time, the celestial bodies nearby will naturally be swallowed up. But in that case, the time will be very, very long. Therefore, Chen Mu chose this. Chen Mu directly used gravitational waves to act on himself. The upgraded gravitational waves can produce the same gravity as Chen Mu at this moment. When this gravity is used on one's own body, Suddenly the two gravitational waves overlapped, forming an even more terrifying gravitational wave. When these two gravitational waves overlap, they are like two ripples on a lake. The ripples overlap and form a larger ripple. The radius of Chenmu's black hole horizon expanded instantly. When the gravitational waves became larger, the speed of those celestial bodies approaching Chenmu accelerated. Not enough, Chenmu muttered. Even if it speeds up, what is actually seen through the conscious field of vision is not much faster. Clone. Falling with the sound. Another black hole, accompanied by golden light, appeared next to Chenmu. This is exactly Chenmu's clone ability. The clone has the same abilities as Chenmu, and naturally has gravitational waves. Because of their instantaneous adaptability, the two black holes will not affect each other. However, when the two black holes stay together, the gravitational waves generated become stronger again. At this moment, Chenmu had 3 times the gravitational waves of his own body. Nearby celestial bodies are approaching even faster. Lan, who had been silent next to her, looked at the scene in front of her, her blue eyes trembling slightly, with an incredible luster inside. This scene was really hard for her to believe. Two black holes are in the same space, but they haven't merged with each other, Lan couldn't understand. This was a high technology that she couldn't understand. Ian's eyes were filled with luster. In front of her, there was an additional picture in the field of vision that only she could see. Through the data displayed on this picture, she could see the gravity emitted by the two black holes in front of her. The effect of waves on the entire galaxy. There are 3 layers of gravitational waves superimposed on a huge gravitational wave. What is this? Lan looked at the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. He wants to swallow the entire Milky Way. Her voice was trembling. There are many civilizations in the Milky Way, from low-level civilizations to high-level civilizations, countless. But this existence in front of him wants to swallow the entire Milky Way, which means that all civilizations in the Milky Way will be extinct. The Milky Way will disappear completely. He must be stopped. But, thinking of the indifferent words that Chenmu said to her before, Lan realized that Chenmu didn't want to say anything more to her. If she entangled Chenmu, it is very likely that she will be directly wiped out like Ming, and even her consciousness will no longer exist. Lan bit her lower lip and looked at Chenmu in front of her. Chenmu used his clone to enhance the gravitational waves through his clone, but through his conscious vision, he found that the celestial bodies in the Milky Way, although the speed towards him became faster, but, that's it. In the vast universe, even in the Milky Way, which seems to be full of stars, the distance between celestial bodies is already very, very large. Even if Chenmu's gravity is strong enough, they can't exceed the speed of light at their highest speed. And the distance between celestial bodies is calculated in light years. Therefore, even if it is 3 times the gravitational wave, the speed is still very slow in the consciousness field of vision. Please stop suddenly, a familiar voice sounded in Chenmu's mind again. Hearing this voice, Chenmu suddenly became impatient, and his consciousness field of vision looked at the source of the sound. Over there, the girl Lan was floating in the air. She looked at Chenmu, who was a black hole, and said, "There are countless civilizations in the Milky Way. If you do this, you will destroy those civilizations. I hope you can stop." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 296. Indeed, there are countless civilizations in the Milky Way. There are so many of these civilizations that if Chenmu swallows up the entire Milky Way will be destroyed, and those civilizations will also be destroyed. But what does this have to do with Chenmu? Chenmu is not a person now, let alone a creature. He is a black hole. The angle he is standing from now is the angle of a black hole, not the angle of a human being. After a long time and too many changes of positions, Chen-Mu can no longer be considered a civilized creature. For such an existence, it is too much to want him to care about the civilizations in the Milky Way. Chen-Mu just glanced at Lan, then retracted his gaze and rethought. The girl Lan subconsciously raised her hand, but saw that her hand slowly turned into a little dust that was invisible to the naked eye, and was slowly attracted by the black hole in front of her and flew into the black hole. Her body turned into very fine dust and flew into the accretion disk of the black hole. Her body was gone, leaving only a consciousness, and this consciousness was slowly disappearing. Lan knew that this was done by Chen-Mu. As a conscious being, she could only smile bitterly. Everything was within her expectations, but for those civilizations, she would rather use her life to say that sentence. Although she knew it was meaningless, she still wanted to do her best. Ian's entire consciousness disappeared and was directly erased. The reason why Chen-Mu did this was because he didn't want to hear her voice anymore, so he simply erased it, leaving her no chance to linger around his ears like a fly. This is just very simple, because he didn't like it, so he erased it. That's all. Life is not worth mentioning to him. This is not from a human perspective. In a sense, this is from a God perspective. He can create life at will, and can create new information libraries at will, that is, consciousness, soul. When an existence can create life at will, then in the eyes of that existence, life is no longer valuable. In their eyes, life is not as good as the dust in the universe that cannot be seen by the naked eye. The problem now in front of Chen-Mu makes Chen-Mu a little embarrassed. With the blessing of triple gravitational waves, the nearest celestial body to him will take several years to be swallowed by him. This is too slow. That's right. Chen-Mu had an idea. Don't I still have the ability of space? With the ability to control space, why do I need to care about the so-called speed? Chen-Mu had an idea. The warp engine allows the target to travel faster than the speed of light by folding the space distance. And Chen-Mu can already use this ability to control space to make a black hole teleport. Since black holes can be teleported, why can't other celestial bodies be teleported? At present, Chen-Mu's control ability needs to be within the visible range of his consciousness. As long as the mass of the object is equal to or lower than Chen-Mu's mass, it can be directly transported to Chen-Mu's face by controlling space. What are you waiting for? Chen-Mu locked onto the nearest black hole. That black hole has a mass of 1 million suns. As soon as Chen-Mu thought about it, the black hole that was 2 light-years away from him disappeared out of thin air. At the same time, it appeared in the horizon of Chen-Mu's body. The horizons of the 2 black holes overlapped. Chen-Mu imagined that this black hole would definitely be captured by his gravitational waves when it entered his horizon, and then fall straight into the singularity and be swallowed by his singularity. However, when the black hole approached, it began to revolve very quickly along the direction of Chen-Mu's rotation. Then, it sank into Chen-Mu's horizon in a spiral. Chen-Mu opened his consciousness and vision, and he could clearly see that the other black hole was circling his singularity and approaching rapidly. Due to his instant adaptability, Chen-Mu's singularity did not move, but stayed in place, allowing the singularity next to it to spin wildly and get closer and closer. They suddenly bumped into each other. Chen-Mu's eyes lit up. He was about to swallow it. But at this touch, suddenly, the singularity was bounced away. Seeing this, Chen-Mu was stunned. Is there such a thing? The singularity in the black hole is the essence of the black hole, and it has infinite gravity. Even if Chen-Mu's mass is much larger than the other party will not be torn apart by Chen-Mu. When 2 singularities with infinite density and infinite gravity collide, they will bounce each other away like a ball. After being bounced away a little, the singularity was sucked back by Chen-Mu's gravitational wave and circled Chen-Mu again. As a singularity, Chen Mu looked at the singularity that flew away and ran back again, and his eyes lit up. Here it comes. It approached again and bounced again. Chen Mu's heart moved. He was not in a hurry, just quietly waiting for the guy to come back. Sure enough, it was pulled back by Chen Mu's gravity again. Collision again, bounced again. And in the collision process, waves of gravitational waves stirred up, accompanied by waves of strange noises. Boom, boom, boom. This is the sound made by the collision of black holes. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the sound became more and more frequent, because the number of collisions increased. When the sound became so frequent that it could not be described in words, at a certain moment, the two black holes merged into one in an instant. Chen Mu looked at himself after the merger. It's so slow, forget it, I won't play anymore. Chen Mu was going to see how the black hole swallowed the black hole when the swallowing ability was not used. But Chen Mu never expected that it would be so troublesome. So, Chen Mu didn't plan to play anymore. He opened his consciousness and captured all the celestial bodies around him. Directly manipulate the space and pull all these celestial bodies to his side. He turned on the swallowing ability. At present, Chen Mu's swallowing ability is no longer limited to body size. As long as the mass is higher than the other party, it can be swallowed. And in the Milky Way, there is currently no celestial body with a mass higher than Chen Mu. Therefore, it can be seen that the celestial bodies in the Milky Way disappeared one after another, and then the black hole at the center of the Milky Way turned into gold, and those celestial bodies also became golden balls, one by one flew into the golden black hole and were swallowed by the black hole. Whether it was a black hole, a neutron star, a white dwarf, or a star, everything became food. No collision, no bounce, only swallowing. Chen Mu was now a real black hole, ruthlessly swallowing the celestial bodies in the Milky Way. At this moment, the entire Milky Way emitted golden light from the center, and all the celestial bodies from the center of the Milky Way to the middle part turned into golden celestial bodies, disappearing one by one, appearing near the black hole in the center of the Milky Way, and then sinking into the black hole in the center of the Milky Way. His mass and energy were increasing rapidly. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 297. Within Pangu. Pangu Alliance Headquarters. It has been detected that a large number of celestial bodies in the Milky Way have disappeared out of thin air. A man with short hair is sitting at the work table. On the work table, a three-dimensional map of the Milky Way is displayed, and a series of data is displayed next to the map. He was staring at the data and said these words. These words were very light, but everyone in the entire Pangu Alliance could feel it. The commander-in-chief of the Pangu Alliance is a handsome man named Feng Han. He was sitting at the commander's post, which was a high platform with a chair on top of the high platform. He wears an instrument on his head. This instrument is like an earphone, but the earphones cover his ears, while this instrument covers his brain. He has his eyes closed. Listen to the information coming from all around. He said, a large number of celestial bodies in the Milky Way disappeared out of thin air. What is the reason? The group of staff sitting at the workbench below began to operate. After those celestial bodies disappeared out of thin air, the galactic center black hole acquired celestial bodies of the same mass. It can be speculated that the galactic center black hole swallowed those celestial bodies, an intelligence officer said. At this time, another person added, when the celestial bodies disappeared, the space where they were located was distorted. There is an existence that connects the space where those celestial bodies are located with the space near the black hole in the center of the Milky Way, and moves those celestial bodies. These celestial bodies have been swallowed by teleportation since they were closest to the black hole in the center of the galaxy. They are now disappearing and swallowed from the inside out. At the current speed, in another half a year, we will likely become the target of being swallowed by teleportation, one person spoke up. When Feng Han heard this, he slowly opened his eyes. He frowned slightly, sat up, and said, "Notify the world and notify the Space Construction Department to build a space transport ship. Within 3 months, we must build a transport ship for everyone to leave." Yes. After the order is issued, the entire Pangu planet began to mobilize for construction. 230,000 years have passed since Chenmu left Pangu planet. In this long time, the development of civilization within the 7 planets has advanced by leaps and bounds. At present, they have mastered a lot of technology, and they are already familiar with the use of warp engines. The warp engine involves the concept of space technology. When celestial bodies disappear and appear, they can naturally detect the situation through technology. The Pangu star civilization can detect that the technology of the other 6 planetary civilizations is not much different from that of the Pangu star. They also notified the anomalies in the galaxy at the same time. Almost 7 planetary civilizations have begun preparing to leave. On the Moon. The Moon has been transformed using planetary terraforming, and is now completely suitable for ordinary people to live in. Of course, the Moon at this moment has changed its name, and the 7 planetary beings all call the Moon the God Realm. Because in the God Realm, all the main gods of the 7 planets live. The title Lord God is not superstitious. Technology has reached its current level, and the advanced intelligent life forms in the 7 planets all possess advanced technology. In their eyes, the main gods are actually a group of highly civilized beings. At the same time, these beings created them and brought them life, wisdom, and technology. For the highly intelligent beings on the 7 planets, these advanced civilized beings in the God realm are the well-deserved main gods of their planets. These main gods are their beliefs and their creators. Therefore, although the 7 planets already have the ability to explore the universe, as for the God realm, they will not infringe upon the Lord God's domain without the Lord God's order. This is the consensus of the 7 planets. At this moment, above the God realm, there is an exquisite building in the divine world, and there is an artificial hot spring in the building. There is someone in the hot spring, to be precise, there should be a main god taking a bath. This main god has a beautiful face and looks charming and mature. But at this moment, her face was full of sorrow, and her peach blossom eyes were looking at the stars in the night sky. She is the 9-tailed fox. "Father, it's been 230,000 years since I left," she muttered. He had never been away for so long. The 9-tailed fox was worried. Is he still alive? If he was still alive, wouldn't he miss her as his daughter? Why don't you come and meet her? In 230,000 years, will he go to another dimension, encounter a powerful existence, and be killed by the enemy? Thinking of this, the 9-tailed fox shook his head. No. No way, Dad, it's so powerful, it's impossible. At this time, the sound of water came from the side. The 9-tailed fox came back to her senses. When she looked back, she saw a beautiful figure entering the hot spring. Looking at the familiar face, the 9-tailed fox said, "It's you." The person coming is Angel Green. The black hole in the center of the galaxy is devouring other celestial bodies. Lu Yi sat in the hot spring, leaning against the wall, looking at the 9-tailed woman next to him with bright eyes. The 9-tailed fox said, "The black hole in the center of the galaxy has always been devouring other celestial bodies. It is not surprising that black holes are devouring celestial bodies." She raised her hand boldly and slid it across the water of the hot spring. A water ball was suspended in the air and condensed into a ball. She looked at the ball of water and could see herself through the ball. Lve said, "Indeed, the black hole at the center of the Milky Way has been swallowing other celestial bodies, but it takes time for celestial bodies to get close to the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. However, in recent times, the black hole at the center of the Milky Way has directly transported celestial bodies through space, moved those celestial bodies to its side, and swallowed them. Splash! The water ball suddenly fell and hit the hand of the nine-tailed fox, and scattered into water splashes. She looked at Lve and said, "Space transportation, warp engine." The nine-tailed fox said, "Who is playing tricks? It's just that kind of technology, to transport an entire celestial body, the time and space gate that needs to be constructed will take a long time. Among the civilizations in the Milky Way, which civilizations have this strength?" She was very curious. Lve smiled, "It's not a civilization, but a consciousness." Consciousness, the nine-tailed fox looked at Lve. Lve hummed. Seeing Lve's expression, Jiwei Fox rolled his eyes and said, "Okay, don't keep me in suspense. Tell me, what did you find?" Lve smiled, "In the entire Milky Way, 1/3 of the celestial bodies have turned golden, and the black hole at the center of the Milky Way has also turned golden. It is swallowing nearby celestial bodies. What do you think this represents?" "Gold." Jiwei Fox's eyes lit up, "It's Dad." Upon hearing this, Lve smiled, "It's possible. There is a way to directly transmit celestial bodies thousands of light years away. Except for the ancestor, I have never encountered a civilization with such technology." Jiwei Fox smiled, "Great, it turns out that he is fine." "It's good that he is fine." Jiwei Fox's face was full of joy. Looking at Jiwei Fox's expression, Lve smiled, "Do you want to go and see?" Jiwei Fox was startled. She looked at Lve and said, "Can I?" Lve smiled and said, "Let's see the situation first. If the ancestor is busy, he may not meet us." Yeah, Jiwei Fox was very happy. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 298. A gate of time and space appeared next to Lu Yi that could allow one hand to pass through. She stretched out her hand, reached into the door of time and space, and took out a metal sphere the size of a ping-pong ball. She manipulated the metal sphere, which flew into the air and suddenly dispersed. A three-dimensional map of the Milky Way appeared in front of the two women. Through this three-dimensional view, you can see the full picture of the Milky Way at this moment. At this moment, the center of the Milky Way is spreading outward, and 1/3 of the celestial bodies have turned golden. Lu Yi said, "Enlarge the picture of the black hole in the center of the Milky Way." As the green voice fell, the picture automatically enlarged, capturing the picture of the black hole in the center of the galaxy to the picture where the black hole in the center of the galaxy is at this moment. Looking at the black hole in the center of the Milky Way that is emitting golden light and devouring various nearby celestial bodies. The picture in front of me comes from one of the outermost satellites of the Milky Way. The outermost stars of the Milky Way are all young stars, and these young stars have planets inside them. Liu Yi and the others used the technology they have learned over the years to create satellites outside the outermost planets. This satellite is aimed at the entire Milky Way. The satellite adopts quantum technology, which uses the principle of quantum entanglement to capture information about the Milky Way. In the universe, anything with static matter cannot exceed the speed of light. It is impossible to capture what is happening in the entire galaxy at this moment through ordinary satellites. General satellite photography relies on light, and the propagation of light requires speed. Just like when a person is inside the Earth and looks at the twinkling stars in the sky, when you see the light of that star, that light, or it was emitted by that star millions of years ago, and that star may have died now. Therefore, it is impossible to observe the Milky Way in real time using ordinary satellites. But with the development of science and technology, current satellites adopt quantum technology and use the principle of quantum entanglement. If a physical quantity has the smallest indivisible basic unit, then the physical quantity is quantized, and the smallest unit is the quantum. Quantum entanglement means that when two quanta are very far apart, if one of them moves, the other quantum will get the same reaction at the same time. This entanglement spans distance. In other words, if you can use quantum entanglement skillfully, you can speak to a communicator with quantum technology hundreds of millions of light years away, and another communicator connected by quantum entanglement will say the same thing at the same time. This is the information transmission brought about by quantum technology, which can span infinite distances. The satellites used by Liu Yi use quantum technology. Looking at the silver-centered black hole glowing with golden light in front of her, the nine-tailed fox's beautiful eyes trembled slightly, with golden luster reflected inside, and a smile appeared on her beautiful little face. That's right. Yes, it must be Dad, only he can swallow other celestial bodies like this. Liu Yi hummed and looked at the situation on the screen. She said, Ancestor, it seems that he is very busy. The nine-tailed fox observed it and said, he doesn't like others to disturb him when he is doing things. Do we need to stop the ancestor? Suddenly, another voice sounded. Hearing this sound, the nine-tailed fox and Liu Yi looked at the source of the sound. Angel Qing was seen walking towards her wrapped in a bath towel. As she spoke, she slowly entered the hot spring and then looked at the two women. The nine-tailed fox said, Why stop it? Liu Yi is also looking at Qing. Angel Qing said, Can't you see? The ancestor is obviously planning to swallow up the entire galaxy. If that's the case, she continued, there are countless civilizations in the galaxy. If the planets where those civilizations are located are swallowed up, the civilizations will collapse and die. The nine-tailed fox frowned and said, Dad must have his reasons for doing this. Besides, those planetary civilizations have nothing to do with us. If we swallow them, we can just swallow them. When Angel Qing heard this, she couldn't help but blinked and looked at the nine-tailed fox. She slowly withdrew her gaze and looked at Liu Yi. Liu Yi smiled slightly, looked at Angel Qing, and said, just like the nine-tailed fox said, the ancestors did this for their own reasons. Qing was a little confused. The truth. As far as I know, the phagocytosis ability of the ancestors can store the templates of all substances and organisms swallowed in, Liu Yi said with a smile. If the ancestors devour the entire galaxy, then it means that those civilizations will follow the ancestors merged and became one body. For those civilizations, this is not death, but another kind of rebirth. She looked at Qing. Qing said, but every life is an independent consciousness. They have consciousness, so they are lives. It is wrong to devour life without the consent of life. This is the same as what our ancestors taught us. Justice is the opposite. Liu Yi retracted his gaze, looked forward, and said, Qing, you are an individual who can think independently. What you said has your own reason. But the first ancestor is the first ancestor. He is our creator and everything to us. What he does and thinks is far beyond our understanding. She looked at Qing and said with a smile, our bodies and thoughts are all given by him. Even the thoughts you have at the moment are all given by him. Qing was stunned for a moment. Levi looked ahead and said, the ancestor, let us protect life and tell us that life is precious. He helped life evolve, gave us a knowledge base, and helped us grow with civilization. His greatness cannot be described in words. If he is a demon, we should stand on the side of the demon. If he is an angel, we should stand on the side of the angel. Levi smiled and said, don't forget that the ancestor is a big tree, and we are just leaves on that big tree. It is not the leaves' job to deny what the big tree does. As she said that, she looked at Qing and smiled and said, what do you think? Qing was slightly stunned. She pursed her lips and said, yes, you said yes. Lve smiled and said, I don't blame you. Your thoughts are given by the ancestor. According to the teachings given to us by the ancestor, it is reasonable that you would consider stopping the ancestor. However, before we consider these, we should first consider our relationship with the ancestor. After all, there would be no us without the ancestor. If there were no us, then we would not need to think. Qing nodded slightly, she closed her eyes and slowly opened them. Yes. My body was given by the ancestor, My consciousness was also given by the ancestor, everything about me was shaped by the ancestor is so great, I shouldn't think so much. Ching looked at her raised hand, she fell into deep thought. The nine-tailed fox looked at Ching's expression and said, Levi is right. Dad can do whatever he wants. Even if it's a bad thing, I support him. If you want to stop Dad, then you have a problem with your thinking and you need to reflect on yourself. Levi smiled and looked at the nine-tailed fox and said, okay, the ancestor is very busy now. I want to wait until the ancestor is not busy before going. When the nine-tailed fox heard this, she said, this is the only way. Suddenly, there was a movement in the sky. The nine-tailed fox, Levi, and others raised their heads and looked up at the sky. In the sky, one space transport ship after another flew over the moon. That was the space transport ship that was about to leave Pangustar and go outside the Milky Way. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 299. Groups of space transport ships appeared on all 7 planets, and groups of space fleets flew towards the opened door of time and space in an orderly manner. One transport ship after another carries the people inside, flying through the space-time gate formed by the warp engine to the world outside the galaxy. The scene in front of me is particularly magnificent and spectacular. You know, these transport ships transport the lives of an entire civilization, so the number of transport ships is very large. Lu Yi turned on the instrument and watched the space transport fleet flying out from the 7 planets through the instrument, watching them enter the gate of time and space one by one. Are they planning to leave the Milky Way? The nine-tailed fox had already left the hot spring. She was wrapped in a bathrobe and lying lazily on a chair next to the hot spring. Her charming eyes were looking at the three-dimensional picture, and she asked lazily. Lu Yi smiled and commented, after such a long time, these beings also have the ability to self-explore and discover technology. It is not surprising that they can obtain information. After obtaining information, they abandon the galaxy and choose to leave. This kind of it's also a smart move. It's just, they are doing useless work. The nine-tailed fox slowly closed its eyes and said lazily. Why is it said to be useless? Because the existence that is devouring the celestial bodies is the creator of this planetary system. The creator will not devour the planetary system he created, because, that would violate his original intention of creation. In fact, what the nine-tailed fox said was right. Shenmue is currently devouring celestial bodies by manipulating space abilities and changing the spatial positions of celestial bodies. His devouring was to obtain evolutionary energy progress, and the energy of the planet he created was 0. Because those planets are part of Shenmue. Devouring himself is like Shenmue, as a black hole, devouring his own body. This is impossible. Even if it is possible, it is meaningless, so Shenmue will not devour this planetary system. Of course, the only people who knew about this matter were the Lord God, who gave them the green light. Naturally, the beings in the civilizations of those 7 planets did not know, so they chose to escape from the galaxy that was directly swallowed by the black hole in the center of the galaxy. Do you want to tell them? Qing looked at Liu Yi subconsciously. The mission of the Lord Gods is to create life, and then teach and train them so that they can learn to be self-reliant. Of course, in the process, they will also teach some technological knowledge. And their mission ended many years ago. Although the belief of the main God still exists, they no longer interfere with those lives. Of course, if their faith is still there, as long as they speak out, those civilizations will be obedient. Lu Yi smiled, it's not necessary. They can already do some things independently. We don't need to influence them. Let them observe and judge by themselves. Qing nodded slightly and looked at the space transport ships in the three-dimensional picture in front of her. Inside the space transport ship, Feng Han, the commander-in-chief of the Pangu Alliance, was sitting in front of the command podium with his eyes closed, wearing a quantum communication device. The instrument on his head, which is like an earphone and pressed on both sides of his forehead, is the quantum communication device. This quantum communication device allows him to receive the information collected by those intelligence agents. The operation of the quantum communicator is that the intelligence agents directly collect the information by speaking, and then these sounds will be transmitted into Feng Han's brain waves through the quantum communicator. Let him get the information directly. No matter how far the distance is, he can receive it in time. The fleet in Area B is moving and heading towards the space-time tunnel. The A area fleet is following the B area fleet. Feng Han could hear the voice coming from the intelligence agent. Suddenly, a somewhat abrupt voice sounded. The black hole at the center of the Milky Way has stopped swallowing celestial bodies. Hearing this voice, Feng Han opened his eyes suddenly. He frowned and sat up. Has the black hole in the center of the galaxy stopped swallowing celestial bodies? Yes, nearly half of the celestial bodies in the Milky Way were dyed golden. Just now, all of the golden color suddenly disappeared. At the same time, no celestial objects disappeared out of thin air. The black hole in the center of the Milky Way did not continue to swallow celestial bodies. Why? Feng Han frowned. Find out the reason quickly. Checking. Feng Han frowned. What exactly is going on? He was building a fleet and planned to transport everyone away from the galaxy, but suddenly he said that the black hole in the center of the galaxy would not swallow it. Above the moon. The black hole at the center of the galaxy has stopped. The nine-tailed fox sat up. She looked at the three-dimensional picture of the Milky Way, with a trace of doubt and confusion in her eyes. Lu Yi on the side also saw this scene. Strange, according to my understanding, the ancestors' move was obviously to swallow up all the celestial bodies in the entire galaxy. Why did it stop suddenly? The nine-tailed fox didn't say much. She waved her hand and opened a gate of time and space. She jumped up, dragging her 9 long tails, and entered the gate of time and space. Her beautiful figure appeared in front of the black hole in the center of the galaxy, or to be precise, Chen Mu's body. She was standing in the air with her bare feet. She was flying in mid-air, looking at the extremely huge black hole in front of her, her eyebrows furrowed. What's going on? 2 more beautiful figures appeared next to them, namely Liu Yi and Cheng. Liu Yi looked at the black hole in the center of the galaxy, and she also frowned. There is no conscious body. Lv and nine-tailed fox both have information databases, and they can see the existence of consciousness. In their opinion, the Milky Way black hole must be Chen Mu, and there must be Chen Mu's consciousness in the Milky Way black hole, but the problem is, there is no consciousness. In other words, Chen Mu is not in the Milky Way black hole at the moment. And the fact is indeed so. Chen Mu was also a little puzzled. He was eating his food well, but in a blink of an eye, the surrounding environment changed. After he came to his senses, he found himself in an extremely spacious and luxurious room. There were various furnishings in the room, and a sofa was placed in front of Chen Mu. And on the sofa, a man was sitting. This man had long red hair, 4 ears, and his whole body was absolutely white. He was wearing a silver light armor. He was sitting with his legs crossed, leaning against the back of the chair, staring at Chen Mu with a pair of red pupils. Unable to read the target's information database, the target information database has an information lock. The system's voice sounded in Chen Mu's ears. Hearing this voice, Chen Mu understood. I was attacked. It looked like another consciousness attack, and from which civilization? He looked at Chen Mu and said, I have been observing you. I didn't intend to attack you at first, but you went too far this time. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 300. Chen Mu looked at the 4-eared man in front of him and said, Boar star. When the 4-eared man heard this, he crossed his legs and said, Bohr civilization is a good civilization, but compared to my civilization, their civilization is still a low-level civilization. Speaking of this, he looked at Chen-Mu with his eyes with double pupils. In the Milky Way, there are many advanced civilizations hidden. They will use the power of technology to hide their planets to avoid being discovered by other civilizations, and these civilizations have powerful technology. My civilization, Yaoi civilization, is one of them. He stared at Chen-Mu and said, "My name is AISI. I noticed you as early as when you started to contact the Milky Way black hole. Originally, I didn't intend to intervene. Even if the Milky Way black hole was swallowed and the celestial bodies in the Milky Way were scattered, civilization would have its own way to survive. But now you are planning to swallow the entire Milky Way, which has broken my bottom line. There are countless civilizations in the Milky Way. These civilizations include low-level civilizations and advanced civilizations, and some smart and powerful advanced civilizations do not expose themselves to the vision of other civilizations. They will use their own technology to block all visible factors emitted by the planet where they are. Make their own civilization disappear from all angles and make it unobservable. No matter how powerful a civilization is, there will always be a more powerful civilization in this vast universe. Knowing how to hide your own civilization is the truth that can truly exist in this universe for a long time. In the view of the original Earth scientists, by observing the trajectory of celestial bodies, they found that the power formed by visible matter is not enough to explain the trajectory of some celestial bodies, so scientists believe that there are still a lot of invisible matter in this universe. They attribute these substances to dark matter. Dark matter does exist, but there are some hidden technologies that are not up to standard, but civilizations that already have certain hidden technologies, after hiding their planets, they cannot hide their gravity. Their planets cannot be observed, but gravity exists. This property is somewhat similar to the property of dark matter, but this is not dark matter, but the influence of hidden civilizations. And the Yaoi civilization is an advanced civilization with relatively strong technology among the many civilizations in the Milky Way. AISI is from that civilization. The Milky Way is very large, it can be said to be vast and boundless. In this extremely vast Milky Way, although the original Earth civilization cannot discover alien civilizations, these civilizations undoubtedly exist. There are low-level civilizations and high-level civilizations. The evolutionary system owned by Chen-Mu is probably the product of the technology of a certain civilization. So, can the civilization where AISI is located have more powerful technology than the evolutionary system that created Chen-Mu? If so, can Chen-Mu win? Obviously impossible. AISI looked at Chen-Mu and said lightly, "You currently have two choices, one is to give up swallowing the Milky Way, and the second is that I will erase all your consciousness." This guy's words were not as gentle as Ming and Lan of the Bohr civilization. This was a threat. He was threatening Chen-Mu. If Chen-Mu didn't listen, he would take action. The reason why a life exists is because of its body and consciousness. The body can be a task material, but the consciousness cannot be transformed. The consciousness is just like what the original Earth civilization said, the soul. If the soul is erased, it will never exist again. Chen-Mu said to the system, "Crack the target's information database." Isai saw Chen-Mu's actions, and his mouth twitched slightly. He crossed his arms and said, "Want to crack my information lock? I tell you, Yaoi civilization is best at using information databases. Among the tens of millions of civilizations in this galaxy, the number of civilizations that can crack Yaoi civilization's information lock can be counted on one hand." He stretched out his hand, which had 5 fingers. He looked at Chen-Mu and said, "But even if they want to crack it, it will take several years. If I want, I can add more information locks during the time they crack it." He looked at Chen-Mu and said calmly, "The information lock of Yaoi civilization cannot be cracked." As he spoke, AISI slowly stood up, holding a weapon made of information in the shape of a pistol. He pointed the gun at Chen Mu and said, "Give your choice, otherwise, this shot, you will be wiped out." Cracking, crack successfully the system's voice sounded in Chen Mu's ears. Hearing this voice, Chen Mu looked at AISI. It seems that he thought too much. In his eyes, AIC's body changed from a normal appearance to an appearance composed of data of 0 and 1. By reading this data, Chen Mu can know everything about AISI. Other people's information databases do not need to be read more, just a thought. These information databases are copied by Chen Mu, and then integrated into Chen Mu's information database. It is equivalent to Chen Mu directly obtaining all the information of the other party, which includes all of AIC's memories and his thoughts, including what AISI is thinking at this moment. AISI, a warrior of Yaoi civilization, has lived for 1,367 years. Chen Mu crossed his arms, looked at AISI and said calmly, "My spouse was Yun, who died in a war 500 years ago. For the past 500 years, I have been single, doing research and observing astronomy in the laboratory of Yaoi civilization." After hearing what Chen Mu said, AIC's double pupils trembled slightly, and his face changed drastically. "You broke my information lock." When the information lock was cracked, AISI didn't even notice it at all. This proves that Chen Mu's system belongs to a kind of technology created by a more advanced civilization, and this technology is incomprehensible to Yaoi civilization. This means, Yaoi civilization, nothing more than that. AISI looked at Chen Mu in disbelief and said, "Impossible, how can a celestial body have such technology?" He adjusted his mood and looked at Chen Mu. "Even if you use the information database better than me, it doesn't mean you are my opponent." As soon as the voice fell, he pulled the trigger in his hand. A bullet composed of 0 and 1 data was fired from the muzzle of the pistol composed of information and shot at Chen Mu's head. Chen Mu had a thought. The bullet disappeared instantly. The pistol in AIC's hand also disappeared in the blink of an eye. AISI was stunned. He raised his hand and looked at the pistol that disappeared in his hand. He looked at Chen Mu and pointed at Chen Mu, "You." The hand pointed by AISI also dissipated little by little like blue dust blown by the wind. The surrounding buildings also dissipated along with it. AISI looked at his hand, his eyebrows slightly wrinkled, and then looked at Chen Mu. "Even if your technology is better than mine, judging from your current behavior, you must have been targeted by some high-level civilizations. If you don't stop your actions, one day you will encounter an enemy that is more powerful than the technology you have, and one day you will be wiped out like me. I advise you to stop your malicious actions." As the voice fell, AIC's body completely disappeared. And Chen Mu's consciousness returned to the black hole. Chen Mu looked at the stars in the sky of the Milky Way through his consciousness. There is always a mountain higher than the other. This sentence is not only suitable for the original Earth civilization, but also in this vast universe. In some dark space, there might be some god-level civilizations hiding, and the eyes of those civilizations are staring at Chen Mu through some means. Thinking about it, Chen Mu felt uncomfortable all over.